This is Bible Talk Radio with your host, Jason Dunn. Welcome to That's the Word, your favorite source for all things biblical. Join us as we delve into the teachings and wisdom of the Bible and discover how its timeless message can guide us through the challenges of everyday life. So sit back and be uplifted, inspired, and encouraged as we explore the Word of God together on today's episode of That's the Word. The Super Bowl. And what a game it was. You know, in football, most of the plays are called by the coaches. It used to be done by signs. The quarterback would get the signs and relay those to his team in the huddle. Now, today, a lot of that is done with technology. The helmet has an audio feature, so he can get a play that way. But often, the play that the coach wanted is not the play that the quarterback ends up using. Often, the quarterback has to call an audible. What's an audible? Well, an audible is a play that is changed and that gets changed at the last minute. The quarterback lines up with his offense and he notices that the defense is ready to sack him, or he notices that the defense is ready for the run. And so in response to what he sees, he changes the play. He calls an audible. And basically he's telling his team, we were going this way, but not anymore. Now we're going to do this. Any team can memorize plays and execute, but teams that can learn to hear an audible and change or adapt at a moment's notice, those are the teams that are great. In your life, spiritually, the same is also true. Let's face it, life is full of audibles. The plans that we make are, well, almost comical. Change happens. Uncertainty comes and we are forced to adapt. We are forced to call a totally different play than we had planned on using. The past few years as a nation, we've been dealing with an amazing amount of uncertainty. Our financial markets are teetering on the edge of jeopardy, and depending on who you listen to, one moment we might be okay if we do this, the next moment, though, is different. Things don't always go according to plan. But we do love to plan out things. We plan our life, our future, our now, but the truth is, life is pretty uncertain. Honestly, you never know what's coming next. So, how will you handle the audibles? How do you handle the changes that come your way? How do you handle it when it doesn't go according to plan? In the book of Job, we meet a man who has everything: wealth, land, family, everything. And in one instant, one snap of the fingers, it's all gone. If you read the first chapters of Job, you hear a man get more bad news than any of us could possibly take. And it just keeps coming. But do you know what most of us do when things don't go according to plan? Well, here are the top 3. Number 1, we start fearing things. We wait for the next shoe to drop. We become uncertain and afraid of everything and everyone. Number 2, when things don't go right, we look for someone to blame. Whose fault is this? Who did this to us? And we are really good at pointing the finger. And number 3, which goes hand in hand with fear, is worry. Uncertainty fuels our worry. We grow anxious and think that we will never survive. And panic sets in. Job had some of all of that, by the way. And that stuff is human nature. It's natural. When things don't go according to plan, that stuff is all normal. But listen to Job 13, verses 14 through 16. Why do I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hands? Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Even so, I will defend my own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation. For a hypocrite could not come before him. Ultimately, Job said, I place my trust in God. He can kill me if he wants. He can take everything away. I might die, but my hope is in him. As I looked at this passage this week, it reminded me of a favorite of mine in Philippians chapter 4. verses 4 through 9. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. These things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. I think there are three real questions as tough times come, as audibles in your life get called. Number one is, what is the source of your joy? Number two, when difficult times come, do you turn away from God or do you turn to God? And number three, are you focusing on the good things or are you settling for lesser thoughts? Difficult times are going to come. So, what is the source of your joy? What do you rejoice in? Job had a lot of stuff, and Job had a pretty great life, but his greatest asset was God. The thing he rejoiced in the most was God. Paul says, rejoice in the Lord always. And I think we hear rejoice, and sometimes we forget the in the Lord part. If you build your life on anything other than God, when tough times come, you will crumble. Your joy should be in Him. He is your rock and your salvation. He is your hope, your life. Paul says that we can turn to God in our distress and find His peace. We can find a peace that is beyond understanding, but listen, it doesn't come from within. It only comes from God. Paul concludes by reminding us of our focus. If you focus on the right things, then you can weather whatever storm comes your way. However, sometimes we tend to look for someone who is at fault. We cry foul and we panic and we look for someone to attach all the mess to. But Paul says, change your focus. Keep your focus on the good things. Look for the positive things. Look for where God is working and focus on that. One last thing. The key to success with Audibles is preparation. At the line of scrimmage, you aren't inventing a new play. All you are doing is calling out a different play based on the game situation. Your whole team leans on the practice, the repetitions that have gone on before. And the same is true in your life. The time to begin getting ready for life's audibles is now. What's the source of your joy? Are you turning to God or are you turning away, trying to handle more and more on your own? And what's the focus of your attention? If you haven't already, then maybe today is the time to turn your life over to God. We hope you've been encouraged and uplifted by today's exploration of the Bible's teachings and wisdom. Remember, the Word of God is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. So take the time to read and meditate on the Bible and let its message guide you in your everyday life. Until next time, this is Jason Dunn, and that's the Word.